Hello everyone, welcome back to Math 2, Unit 6, Lesson 6.5, Completing the Square. This video is going to focus on Activity 1, Complete the Process. So here is the equation of a circle, x squared plus y squared minus 6x minus 20y plus 105 equals 0. Elena wants to find the center and the radius of the circle. Here's what she's done so far. So in this question, you're given a few steps, and we're going to be analyzing what is happening in each step, and then really thinking about why Elena is doing these steps. So let's look at the first step. So I've drawn an arrow from our initial equation to step number 1. Okay. So first off, I'm noticing that the 105 was moved to the right side of the equation, right? It's become a negative. So I'm going to say the first thing I notice is subtracted 105. Okay. And, right, you'll notice that before we had x squared plus y squared minus 6x minus 20y. But now we've got x squared minus 6x plus y squared minus 20y. So it looks like Elena just rearranged the terms here. So subtracted 105 and rearranged terms. I'm keeping this vague right now because we can talk about this a little bit more in depth when we're answering the questions. Let's look at the second step. So now we have the same part over here, the x squared minus 6x and the y squared minus 20y, but now you'll notice she has added 9 and 100, right, to both sides of the equation. So I'm going to write this down, added 9 and 100 to both sides. So again, just an observation of step 2. In step 3, we see that the left side of the equation has remained the same, but now the right side of the equation has become 4, right? So if we take negative 105 and then add 9 and then add 100 to it, that will simplify to 4. So we'll say simplified the right side of the equation. Okay, so now that we have kind of jotted down some observations of her steps, let's take a look at the questions. So question number 1 asks, what did Elena do in the first step? I know we kind of already answered this, right? But I want to write a little bit more in depth. In addition to subtracting 105, she also rearranged the terms so that terms with x and terms with y stayed together. So this is just like a quick strategy that I want to call out here, right? Once we have those terms together, it starts to help us think about what we could add to complete the square, which takes us into question number 2. So question number 2 asks, why did Elena add 9 and 100 to the left side of the equation in step 2? So let's take a look at 9, right, and compare that to what we already have here, x squared minus 6x plus 9. It looks like she just completed the square here, right? Because if we go back up here, remember that in the warm-up to complete the square, right, we took our linear coefficient, so in this case it was -6, divided that by 2, so -6 divided by 2 gives us -3. Right, after we divided the linear coefficient by 2, then we squared it, so -3 squared, right? And -3 squared is just -3 times -3, which gives us the +9. So you can see, right, how we're getting this 9. you can also apply the same thing to the expression with the y terms, right? So if we take like negative 20 divided by 2, that'll give us the negative 10. So, right, negative 20 divided by 2 equals negative 10. And then if we do negative 10 squared, that'll give us the positive 100 over here. So to answer question 2, we can say that 9 and 100 complete the square so that there are two perfect square trinomials on the left side of the equation. Okay, so this relates to what we did in our warm-up. Number 3 asks, why did Elena add 9 and 100 to the right side of the equation? Right, so the second question asks about the left side. Now we're thinking, why did she add 9 and 100 as well to the right side? Right, and think about what you learned in kind of the basics of algebra. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other. So for one, when we added 9 and 100, think of this as just like balancing the equation so that the value does not change. And 9 and 100 are significant here because it's going to help us write the equation using the perfect square trinomials. So that's why we're adding them to both sides so that we're not changing the value, but it's going to help us in terms of the left side of the equation. So question 4 asks, what should Elena do next? And I am going to spend a little bit more time here in the next video on question 4. So come back to this link if you want to know how to do question 4.